Apparently, Arsenal offer Real Madrid shock Saliba swap for potential future best player in the world. Boy, well, let's just start. Yeah, this is from an article that's it's been written by someone called Joe Williams. Came out about an hour ago. Not too sure on the validity or credibility of this writer, but hey, we're in the transfer window now. Apparently, it's open, and we all know what's gonna happen with Arsenal. There's literally gonna be a new report, not every day, every hour. How about that? So obviously, the player that they're alluding to is Rodrygo. So from reading this article, what I understand is they're trying to position the fact that Arsenal could now be willing to do some sort of exchange that involves Saliba going to Real Madrid, which we all know Real Madrid do have interest in Saliba. They are looking for another centre-back. He's very high on their list. And Rodrygo coming the other way. Now, a left winger, very high on Arsenal's list. We all know this. Do we look a bit into the fact that Saliba got hooked at half-time? Do we look a bit into the fact that when Calafiori came on, he looked... I'm playing, people, I'm playing. So before I get into looking into this article and reading out some of the quotes, I'd just like to make my stance on this matter very clear. I really want Rodrygo, but I'm not so sure if I want Rodrygo at the expense of Saliba going the other way. Like, what's that saying? It's like, it feels like I'm cutting off my nose to spite my face. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm trying to build a house, but I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to build the house, but I'm not going to put any doors in. Do you know what I mean? Or do you know what? I've built a house. Hey, honey, you like the house? And she's like, oh, yeah, this house is wonderful. The only way it could get better is if we had a kitchen with an island in it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I put the island in the kitchen, but then I take out all the doors from the house. And then she's like, wait, why do we have no doors? Oh, do you know what I mean? So it seems a bit of a weird one, but however, it is being reported. And I think pretty much the entire Arsenal fan base would be unified in the fact that they do not want Saliba to leave Arsenal this season. Yeah, we're all aware of the potentiality that he could leave next season, or he could end up leaving on a free. But I think it's, even though he's had a poor season, let's be honest, he has had a poor season. But since he's been an Arsenal player, he's been a lot more better than he has been worse. So looking at getting rid of Saliba this transfer window, I don't know, it would be a bit rash. Do you know what I mean? It would make me think that maybe we don't have a plan. And especially on an exchange. Like, I wouldn't hear it, but I would kind of hear it if it's like, cool, Arsenal want to have a big window. We've got X amount of budget, but we need more money, so we're going to generate some money through selling Saliba. Or maybe like, cool, Real Madrid, if you want Saliba, give us Rodrygo and 30 million on top, and I would understand that. But to straight exchange, I don't know, it doesn't really add up, especially considering that Rodrygo's probably going to command more in terms of salary than what Saliba's even on now, or probably what we'll even give him if we was to renew his contract. And then on the flip side, Real Madrid get a player who solves a problem for them, and then they get all the wages off from Rodrygo, and then they probably give less wages to Saliba. So it just seems like a better deal for Real Madrid. But let's see what the article has to say. So Arsenal are now willing to let William Saliba go in the summer transfer market if it means they can land Real Madrid winger Rodrygo, according to reports. The Gunners have once again failed to win any silverware this season after a promising looking campaign turned into misery at the end. Thanks for reminding me, Joe Williams. Mikel Arteta's side failed to get near Liverpool in the second half of the season as Arne Slot delivered the Premier League title to Merseyside in his first attempt. Arsenal have had to settle for a runners-up spot for a third consecutive campaign, but there were also promising moments in the Champions League. The Gunners beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate in the Champions League quarter-finals in two impressive performances before losing in the semi-finals to Paris Saint-Germain. Not gonna lie to you, for this to be an article about Saliba and Rodrygo being swapped, I've gone through a few words and haven't heard Saliba or Rodrygo's name be mentioned. And now Arsenal boss Arteta will be under pressure to win a trophy next season, preferably either the Premier League or Champions League after being well backed over the last few years. Maybe he's doing a bit of build-up, a bit of suspense. Writers like to do that. On the summer ahead, Arteta told reporters on Sunday after beating Newcastle 1-0, obviously we need players because the squad is really short. Again, so doing a straight swap makes no sense. And on top of that, we are losing 4 or 5 players that are going to end contracts and their loans are finished. Again, makes even less sense to do a straight swap. So we need to be sharp. Again, very disciplined in what we want to do and make sure that we are strong in the next season. When asked how big the summer ahead is, Arteta replied, finish the season, go to the beach and make sure the ones upstairs hierarchy do what they need to do. He's maybe a bit of boss gun, maybe a little shot fired. You know, maybe he's a little bit salty about the fact that Berta is now that's his reign, and that's a little shot to say, okay, cool. You think this brother can do better than me? All right, cool. Then just make sure you do what you meant to do upstairs. You know what I mean? So. But I hope Berta's pulled him to the side of the training ground and been like, yo, Mikel, yeah, don't do that ever again. Safe. Saliba has been linked with a move to Real Madrid, with Arsenal not keen on allowing one of their best players to leave the Emirates Stadium. We've already spoken about this. However, Spanish outlet Defensa Central has claimed that the Gunners have now made an offer to Real Madrid to swap Rodrygo for Saliba in the transfer window. Now, I don't know who Defensa Central is, but I imagine this to be a bit of, maybe this is a bit of Real Madrid trying to unsettle Saliba. Because look, Saliba, he looks like his head's been somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? As of recent. And I mean, he got hooked at half-time. He was having a poor first half, if I'm being honest. Maybe there's something there, or maybe he just picked up a knock. Who knows? It is understood that Arsenal would be willing to let Saliba leave if they have the chance to sign Rodrygo. But Real Madrid president Florentino Perez is not convinced. So this is where people, because obviously I'm going to be right there with you. We're going to be reading articles. We're going to be looking at reports. And this is where you need to be careful. Yeah. So it first starts out with the Gunners have now made an offer. Yeah. To Real Madrid to then Arsenal would be willing. So they definitely haven't made an offer. What's probably happened, yeah, and do you know, I'm not even going to say probably, because I don't know how this Defensa Central would even know, but what may have happened is Arsenal or Berta made a phone call to Madrid's reps and said, hey, look, we want Rodrygo. This is what we may be willing to do. Here's some options. What sounds right? What works for you? What are your initial thoughts? That may be what has happened. But the more I read from this report, the less I'm starting to be worried, if that makes sense. The report adds that Perez is clear that he doesn't intend to accept that exchange because first, Rodrygo's value is higher. Not so sure about that, but cool. And second, Saliba's contract expires in 2 years, and if he doesn't renew next summer, his market value will drop. Now that part makes a bit of sense. Yeah, because we all know that Papa Perez, he is probably looking at Saliba and trying to pattern the same thing he did with Trent. I would be highly surprised if this type of deal happened with Real Madrid. Highly surprised. I would actually be highly surprised if we see Madrid bid for Saliba. Like, there's no scenario I can see where Arsenal get money or value out of Saliba going to Real Madrid. Even if Arsenal was like, okay, cool, let's use another club to garner interest, I think Real Madrid would just go to Saliba, hey, look, cool, if you want to go, for example, PSG, cool, just go. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to come to us, these are the rules, these are the regulations. If you want to go PSG, cool, go PSG. We'll find someone else. Real Madrid really don't care. You can't really negotiate with Real Madrid when it comes to your players, innit? Real Madrid has no doubt about Rodrygo's potential, with Los Blancos sure that the Brazil international has everything to become the best player in the world. Because of the plethora of talent at Real Madrid's disposal, Rodrygo could be tempted to move to another project to become a star, with the Spanish giants looking for between 80 million to 100 million euros for him. By the way, Saliba's defo worth more than that. For their part, Real Madrid would prefer him to leave and sign for another club on the condition that the player isn't completely happy or comfortable at the club. So look, we all want Rodrygo. We all want Saliba to stay. I don't really know what I make of this story. You know, I think maybe it's one of those stories that they're just trying to garner interest, unsettle players. Maybe it might be Rodrygo's camp trying to force Real Madrid's hand into, like, because we all know what Rodrygo wants. He wants to play on the left. Can I see him playing there ahead of Vinicius? I think Vinicius is too big of a brand in Madrid at the moment for that to ever happen. But Rodrygo does want to be the star somewhere. So that somewhere may be at Arsenal. Because he could definitely come and be the star at Arsenal. And now look, like, you've won everything over them sides. Challenge yourself. Go somewhere else. But at the expense of Saliba, that doesn't sound like smart business. And I doubt that Arsenal will do this. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Arsenal would do this type of deal? Do you think this story holds any legs? Has any legs? Holds any weight. There I go, mixing and matching phrases. But yeah, comments below. Let me know your thoughts.